Okay, so you guys, today's rate, so we've already done this do now. I don't know why we have it on 2 slides, but are these ratios proportional, 8-3 and 24-9? You betcha. Okay. Hopefully I've got the right, oh, you know what? I wonder. Nope, we're good. This is the right thing. All right, so today we're going to be talking about ratios that change. So we're going to be asking ourselves some core questions. Let me go ahead and hide these so they're not distracting for you guys. We're going to be asking ourselves some core questions for these problems. Number one, what was the ratio before the change? What is the ratio after the change? And what parts or what terms in the ratio changed? Okay, so these are really tough problems today, but you guys can do it. Sometimes it'll be one part of the ratio, and sometimes it'll be both parts of the ratio. But that's going to be really key to understanding how to proceed. All right, so let's just jump into it. The number of boys, the number of girls, and what's that? No. Oh, you guys don't have that printed for you? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead and write those questions down then. I apologize. Okay, are we ready to move on? Almost. Another 10 seconds or so. Okay. All right. The ratio of the number of boys to the number of girls in a group is 2-3. After 6 boys joined the group, the ratio became 5-6. Find the number of boys at first. Okay, let's go back to our questions. What's the ratio before the change? What is the ratio before the change? Austin? 2-3. Let's go ahead and start a bar model, but we won't fill it in quite yet. Boys and girls. No, we will fill it in. Okay, let's just start with what we know. The ratio before is 2-3. Okay, so we're going to label this before. Okay. It already has it for you?
Yeah.
Okay. And then over here, we're going to label after. You guys already have that too. All right. What changes? The number of boys, the number of girls, or the number of both, or both terms? Elijah. Let's read it carefully. After 6 boys joined the group, the ratio became 5-6. Find the number of boys at first. So I'm going to repeat my question. Do boys change? Do girls change? Or do both change? Bastion. Boys. Does it say anything about girls being added to the group, guys? No. So the number of boys changes. So the ratio changes after, but the number of boys is what changes, not the number of girls. Okay. So let's go ahead and we're going to redraw our bar model, but we're going to start with girls and we're going to draw them about the same size. Okay. Originally, girls had 3 units. What do girls have in the new ratio? How many units do the girls have? What class? 6. Can we make 3 into 6 pretty easily? Yep. How do we do that, Tyler? Yep. We'd subdivide. Okay. Thank you. That was really explanatory. Good job. All right. All right. How many units did boys have before numbers were added to their group? How many units did they have? Ainsley. Okay. They had 3. They had 2. Okay. So let's draw their bar model with the 2 original units that they had. Now we just subdivided the girls. So we're also going to subdivide the boys because we have just found an equivalent ratio, right? So if we find an equivalent ratio with 2 and 3, it would be 4-6, correct, guys? Okay, but we know that more boys join the group. All right, what is their final ratio after the change? So ignoring the number of boys, what's the final ratio after the change? Mateo? 5 to 6. So my boys bar model needs one more unit right there, doesn't it? Okay, we also know from the word problem how many, we only have one extra unit that's been added. How many boys comprise that one unit? Maikoi. It says after 6 boys join the group, right? So this is the after unit right here. This unit was added. It says after 6 boys join the group, the ratio becomes 5 to 6. So what number of boys was added to the group, right? 6. 6 boys, right? How many units did we add to the boys bar model, guys? Just 1, right? Okay. So 1 unit equals 6 boys, correct? Everybody with me? Now, the question is to find the number of boys at first. Remember that after we drew the second bar model, remember how we subdivided? So now we're working with smaller units. So it's not going to work for us to go back and say 2 units equals 6 times 2, is it? Because that would have been this big size unit, and that's not going to work. We've already subdivided, and the unit that we added was the same size unit as our subdivided units. So how many units should I solve for? Okay, I'm solving for, it says how many boys were there at first? So I'm solving for those units. How many units should I solve for, guys? 4, exactly. I'm going to solve for 4 units. Let's turn this back to, okay, so 4 units equals how many? 24. Okay, so let's write a sentence. There were 24 boys at first. Okay. How are we doing so far? These are really confusing. These are tough. Okay, we're gonna do several more though. We're gonna do several more. It's all right. Okay, let's turn to the next one. Well, you don't have to turn, I have to turn. All right, then, okay, then P girls left the group. All right, so do we know the number of girls that left the group?
No.
Okay, and the ratio of boys to girls became 2 to 1. Find the value of P. Let's go back. What is our ratio right now? What did the ratio become? Remember, boys were added, so now what's the ratio? 5 to 6. Okay, so whoopsies. All right, so let's go ahead and redraw a bar model, and then we'll start. All right, so boys have 5 units. I'm gonna actually draw this a little bit bigger. Okay, and girls have how many units, class? 6. Okay, let's ignore let's ignore P for just a second. Can we determine how many kids are in this group right now? Absolutely, we can. Do we know what 1 unit equaled? Yeah, 1 unit equaled 6. So if boys have 5 units, how many boys are there right now? Elijah? How many boys are there? They have 5 units, and we remember 1 unit equals 6 kids. Charlie, how many boys are there? Yeah, there are 30 boys. Okay, how many girls are there? They have, yeah, there are 36 girls. Okay, that may or may not help us with this problem, but we know it, so we're gonna go ahead and record it. Okay, let's remember our ratios or our 3 core questions when we're dealing with changing ratios. All right. What is the ratio before the change? I've got it drawn here. What is the ratio before the change? Alex? 5 to 6, good. I don't like it when it does that. There we go. All right, the ratio before the change is 5 to 6. What changes now in this problem? Girls, boys, or both? What number changes? We know the ratio is going to change, but what number of things are changing? Alda? Yes, girls are going to change. What is the ratio after the change? Maddie? 2-to-1. Okay. All right. So the new ratio is 2-to-1. Now girls have, let's see, girls currently have 6 units and boys currently have 5 units. All right. And we want to know how many girls P is, or how many eventually. Okay. So boys are going to become 2-to-1. Can I split 5 units up into 2 very easily right now? Yes? I could though. Okay, let's just draw a new bar model here. Charlie, why don't you explain how we would split 5 units into 2?
Well, you have to divide 2. I mean, on the bar model, you just draw a line.
Yeah, I would subdivide, wouldn't I? Okay. I would subdivide. So let's go ahead and do that on this new bar model. I'm going to subdivide. Now, do I have an even number of units there with my boys? What's 5 times 2, guys?
10.
10. Okay. So can my boys bar now be split in half so that it can become 2-to-1 to something else? Yes or no? Yeah. Okay. What is half of 10, folks? 5. Okay. Half of 10 is 5. So how many units should the girls have? What's half of 10, class? So how many units should the girls have? The girls should have 5 units. Now they have 12 currently, don't they? Because we just subdivided them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's take these 7 units right here. What do those correspond to in our word problem? These girls left. Okay, what does that correspond to in our word problem? Charlie?
Well, yeah, 1 unit 6, and then half unit 3. So then 3 times 7.
Okay, hold on. All right, so we have 7 units, right? Give me a letter that the 7 units correspond to. Go ahead. Yes. Yep. Yes, exactly. So this is now 2-to-1. Okay, so good. So we have 10 to 5, which equals 2-to-1, correct? You guys hanging with me? Okay, we're not done yet. I told you. Got real today. It's a good thing. It's a good thing we had so many perfect scores on that quiz yesterday, right? So, and the rest of you did fairly well. Okay. What is the number of the boys that the new 10 units represents? Oh, we want to find the value of P. Excuse me. That's what we're doing right now. Okay. P, did we find the value of P yet?
No.
We found that it's 7 units, but do we know what the value is? Do we know what number P equals? No, we don't know what number. Do we know how many boys we have? Yes. How many boys do we have? 30? Okay, so I could say, I could assign this bar model to 30, right? Okay. Can I now figure out what each unit in our after situation equals? All right, what does each unit equal? Actually, let's do this. Let's say 10 units is 30. Okay, well, just so we're doing everything properly. What is 1 unit, Bastion? 3, exactly. How many units am I solving for? I heard it. 7. We want to know what 7 units is because P is 7 units. This is the number of girls that left. So we're solving for 7 units, which will be 21. I know you guys can do that in your heads. So P P equals 21 girls. Come on, you guys. You can do you're doing it. You're doing great. You're doing it. All right. Open up your textbook to page 110, please. I'm not sure that you have it. Do you have the question there where it says John has US and foreign stamps? Okay, then you don't need your textbook. Okay, go ahead and give that one a try. Remember to think through your core questions as you're working the problem, please. Yes, I think so. Let me look at what, trying to remember. Yeah, but the ones on your homework are only like one quantity is changing in your homework. In a minute, we're gonna have a problem where both parts of the ratio change, and it's, okay. All right, who wants to read this out loud? Okay, Kala, it's all you.
Has US and foreign. The ratio of the number of US states to the foreign states is 5. After all comes from 12 or 4. The ratio becomes 2 to 1. Find the number of US states.
All right, let's go back through the word problem. First of all, what is the initial ratio? Eyes up here, please. What is the initial ratio? What? Okay, so we've got that drawn right there. He's got 5 units of US stamps and 2 units of foreign stamps. What is the ratio after the change? Don't look at the bar model quite yet. What's the ratio after the change, Mateo? 2 to 1. Okay. What changes? Foreign stamps, US stamps, or both? What number changes? Elin. Foreign stamps is going to change. Okay, so this is going to change. The ratio becomes 2 to 1. So US stamps is the same in each ratio, yes? All right. US stamps has 5 units. Can I manipulate those 5 units so that I could take half of them and determine what number of units the foreign stamps would need to be? How would I find half of 5 on a bar model? Yeah, Mateo. Yeah, I want you to tell me what to do. So if I want to subdivide 5 units and find what half of 5 is, how would I do that? Yeah, and actually, guys, just FYI, would I do this? I'm actually, it looks like dividing it, but I'm actually multiplying it by 2, aren't I? Yeah. Okay, now do I have a number of units where I can figure out what half of those units are? Yeah, because I have 10 units, right? So if we have 10 units of US stamps and the ratio is 2 to 1 after, how many, and by the way, guys, when I subdivide one part of the ratio, I have to subdivide all parts of the ratio. So, okay, so now we've got 10 US stamps and 4 units of foreign stamps. So before we had 5 to 2, now we have 10 to 4. Is that the same ratio, everybody? Yes. How many units should foreign stamps have now if the ratio after is 2 to 1? Mateo. I need to have 5 units down here, okay? Now I've got a ratio that is 2 to 1. Let me just draw that more neatly. Okay, now I've got a ratio that is 2 to 1. What number of foreign stamps were added? How many foreign stamps are in that additional unit? What number of stamps were added, Charlie? 12, exactly. We added 12 stamps. Okay. We want to know what the number of US stamps were before, or the US stamps he has. Did the US stamps change, you guys? No, so we can just draw a question mark above US stamps. Do we have our 1 unit here over here in this new ratio? Yes, we've got 1 unit equals what, folks? 12. How many units should I solve for? 10. Exactly, because I want to know how many US stamps he has. So we're solving for 10 units. So we're going to multiply 12 times 10, which is going to equal 120. So John has, let's write a sentence. John has 120 US stamps. Let's just check and make sure we answered the question. Did we answer the question? Yes. What was that, Tyler? Was that like? It makes sense. Yeah. It's good. Okay. It'll start, we'll get there, guys, we'll get there. It's really hard. Okay. When we're finding these problems, the reason we're asking ourselves these core questions is so we can kind of keep ourselves straight in the word problem, you guys. We have to use all of the information that we have. So when we started with this problem, we knew that we had a ratio of 5:2. We know that when the change is made after additional foreign stamps are added, right, we're going to have to end up with a ratio that is 2:1. We also know that US stamps didn't change at all, right? John's got the same number of US stamps the whole time. Nothing changes with that. So we can safely assume that we can manipulate this US stamps bar model right here, right? Does that make sense, guys? And find half of it. Since the new ratio needs to be 2:1, we can subdivide his 5 units of US stamps into 10 so that we can then find what half of them are. That would be 5. Whatever number of units foreign stamps don't have, because they have 4 now that we've subdivided, are the number of units that we would add to make the ratio be 2:1. Is it starting to come together a little bit for some of you? Yeah. Okay. For those of you who it's not, I would like to recommend that after you go through these few more problems, go back and watch the video, do your notes over again. Going through it a few more times may help. Mateo.
About the foreign stamps 5 units.
Yep, let's repeat that. Okay. What is the new neat ratio? Let's just start back here. Isaac Ring. What does the new ratio need to be after he adds foreign stamps? No, what does the word problem say? What does the new ratio need to be? I'm going to go backwards here. It needs to be 2:1. If I have 5 units of US stamps, right? And my new ratio needs to be 2:1. Let's actually ignore the 5 units for a second. Could I make a ratio like with, let's say John has 4 units of US stamps. Would it be real easy to figure out what his foreign stamp units would be if he had 4 units of US stamps? What's half of 4? Yeah. So it would be, we could have a ratio that would be 4:2, which would be 2:1, right? But he's got 5 units. And we can't very easily find half of 5, can we? At least in terms of like when we're talking about whole units, right? I mean, I know it would be 2.5, but that's not going to work for us for finding whole units in unitary method. So what we're going to do, Isaac, is we're going to subdivide, and everybody, we're going to subdivide both ratios to start. Okay, so whatever what we're doing in this step right here is we're just finding an equivalent ratio. So 5:2 becomes 10:4. Now, is 10:4 the same thing as 2:1, folks? Yes or no? No, it's not. What is a ratio with 10 units, with 10 US stamp units, that would be 2:1, that when you simplify it, it would be 2:1? What would be an equivalent ratio with 10 units here be? That would be 2:1. Alex?
10:5.
10:5, right? So this ratio, if we're going to use these 10 units, needs to be 10:5. Do we all agree that that's an equivalent ratio of 2:1, folks? Okay, I need everybody sitting up and engaging. I know this is hard, but you guys are going to have to work hard if you want to get it. Okay, so if it has to be 10:5 or 2:1, how many more units does he need in his foreign stamps collection? He's got 4 right now. How many does he need? How many more does he need? He's got 4. My equivalent ratio is 10:5. That's going to equal 2:1 when I'm all done. Right now, we've got 4 US stamp units. He needs how many more units? He needs 1 more unit. Okay, we're going to add that on there. Now, do we have a ratio that is 2:1? US to foreign, guys? Yeah, because it's 10 to 5, right? 10 to 5 is the same as 2 to 1. Now, we're talking about units. These units are made up of a number of stamps. How many stamps comprise this one unit that we just added? How many stamps comprise that one unit? It says after Paul gives him 12 foreign stamps, the ratio becomes 2 to 1. How many foreign stamps were in that unit? Ainsley. Yeah, there were 12 stamps in there. Okay, so we're correlating units to the numbers in the word problems. All right, from there we can solve. So we know 1 unit equals 12. That's this step. We want to solve for 10 units because the question is find out how many US stamps he has. We don't care how many foreign stamps he has. We want to know how many US stamps he has. So we're going to multiply 10 units times 12, which is going to equal 120. Does that make sense? A little bit more? A little bit more makes sense? Okay. Awesome. All right, let's do how much time do we have? Let's do this one. So this is 2 more. Like, so we're gonna skip where we find Wayne's savings before he spent $28, and we're gonna go to Steph. So it says Wayne's savings to Steph's savings were in the ratio of, oh, I don't know that, actually, I don't know that we can do this without doing the first. Can we? This one's pretty tough. Yeah, we might not finish notes. We're gonna go on to the Toyo. We'll do the Toyo together. We'll come back to Wayne and Stephanie.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, we're for sure coming back to that because you guys need to know that, but we do not, I believe, have any. Let me just review my notes here. You do not have any workbook exercises where both quantities and the changing ratios are changing. The Wayne and Stephanie problems have ratios where both terms in the ratios are changing, so that's like another level. So we'll do that one on Monday. All right, so let's do this. Susan and Mary each had 50 carnival tickets. Actually, both of these changed too, but this is an easier problem. 50 carnival tickets at first. After Susan gave some tickets to Mary, the number of Susan's tickets was 2/3 the number of Mary's tickets. How many tickets did Susan give to Mary? Okay. So how many units do they have at first, guys? Does it even matter? Like, do they have the same number of units, different number of units, or what? They have the same number of units. So let's draw a before here and let's draw an after. Okay. We don't really know how many units, but it could just be whatever. We'll just draw it like this. Oh, wow. All right. After Susan is going to have 2 units. So she has fewer, and Mary is going to have 3 units. She has more. Now, let's just deal with the after here. They both had some number of tickets, right? How many tickets does Susan give to Mary, guys? 1/3. Be careful. How many? Because if she gave 1/3 to Mary, then Susan would have had this many and Mary would have had 2. So that doesn't work. How many tickets, Maddie? Yeah, she gives half of a unit. But in terms of the question of how many tickets, Susan gave Mary 50 tickets, right? So since they've got the same equal amount of units, if we subdivide these and take 1 unit and put it back up here, that would have given us equal units for both of them. So we can see that we just moved one half of a unit down, or 1 unit. So now we can solve. Okay, so how many tickets did Susan? Oh, they had 50. I'm sorry, I messed that up. We were moving with the units, but they had 50 unit carnival tickets at first. So let's do that. We moved half of a unit. The after situation is 2 to 3 or 4 to 6. because we subdivided. In that situation, yeah, we need to go back. So let's go back and we're gonna give each woman 5 units, because if we moved one of those units over, it means that Mary had 6, Susan had 4, and so 5 units equals 50 tickets. Yep. So 1 unit would equal 10, and that's how many tickets Susan gave. Woo! Don't go crazy on me now. All right, so your homework this weekend is workbook exercise 5, you guys. You're welcome.